Showcase East, we have the final matchup of the weekend, final matchup of the tournament and of the season for you right here. I am Marissa Kogan, Mad Dog on the mic, as Bill Dobbs likes to say, and I am joined this time by a very special guest. We have current Mars player DJ Corridon to my right. DJ, how's it going?
It's going pretty good, enjoying some great rugby, a great weekend, some good weather too. I'm super excited to be here.
Yeah, DJ just finished up a very eventful weekend of playing, and so now she's joining us, sitting down in here, talking over the mic. Same beginnings that I got
Yes.
just a few years ago, transitioning from playing out on the field to coming over here to this tent to do some talking. So this final matchup we have is hopefully going to be really exciting. We have the Raleigh Cobras from down south, top ranked in the EGRL South Division, playing yesterday's crowned EGRL champion Doylestown, top in the north, EGRL champion, Pennsylvania State champion. This will be the last game for these two teams of their season, last game for their seniors. And these are two very powerful teams, DJ.
Yes, they have improved, especially Doylestown. They've improved a lot on their structure, and these two teams, it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna come down more to who wants it a bit more this win, even though there's no stakes. It's that pride level that a lot of these rugby players have, and it's gonna be a good one. They're both putting their best players out on the field. They both know what they're doing. They've all been playing great rugby this season, so it's gonna be a good game.
All right, the first whistle's going to blow, and we're going to have Doylestown kicking right to left to start this game.
A nice high ball knocked on by the Cobras. Going to be playing advantage
Doylestown Nola Flynn gets that ball out fast.
to Bridget. Very quick hands. Oh,
That's
good
Marks
pop.
with the carry. Yeah, pops it out to number 5, Aaron DeLuca.
Looks like the scrum half takes it in.
Yeah, Flynn's just going to pick it off that one. She thought she saw an opening, but Raleigh fixed it right away.
We have a little bit of a messy play.
Yeah, ref's going to call, I believe, coming in from the side on that one. We also have a players down for Doylestown at the moment, so time is off. While we have this break, right after play has started, DJ, you have played against both of these teams so far this
Yes.
season. What is something that they should each be looking out for on each other?
I mean, I think Doylestown definitely is going to want to watch their wings and deep because the Cobras might not kick a bunch, but when they kick, they have the speed to get down there. They have not a bunch of huge players, but their players are fast. They are speedy and they will exploit the wings, but it almost goes the same way for Doylestown. They will use their big players to create that space and draw in those defenders to get the ball out wide. So I think it's going to be a speed game today. Whose 9 can get it out faster, whose people can run in and get the support, because both of these teams are big poachers too.
Absolutely. I think that that's correct. I mean, right after this kickoff, we can tell that this is going to be a very fast paced game. Both of these teams like to play very fast paced live ball rugby. We did have an injured player, number 8, Kayla Robinson, go off for Doylestown. A substitute was made to bring somebody else on in her position. So we hope she's okay. She's getting checked out right now. Play is going to resume with a scrum back by the 22. The scrum is for Doylestown, so they have an opportunity here to notch their first points on the board.
Very stable scrum by both sides. A little bit of a trick play by Doylestown. They started going one way and then came back the other when they saw the overload.
Yeah, that opposite 8-man pick definitely was something that Raleigh was not expecting. There you go. You have a strong run by Mackenzie Marks. She comes on with such pace.
She does. That's something that's great about her on the field. She just comes up, taking that ball, gonna barrel down anyone in her way. It's a lot of players on Doylestown. That's the way they practice.
Yeah, they really focused on fitness this season, their coach said.
Yes.
They really want to be that team that has the endurance to make it through an entire 15s game with
Yes.
full energy.
So it looks like it was held up, and so it should be a goal line dropout.
Yeah, so now Doylestown is going to set up for that. They have a back triangle out. They have Sydney Haddon on this wing.
Or it might not have been. So it was either obstruction or a holdup. I'm not entirely sure, but fielded by Looks like
Nola Robinson,
Nola
or
Robinson.
Nola Flynn, sorry. Yeah, ref's going to call obstruction on
Yeah, so
Doylestown
that's what it
again.
was before because the same hands.
See, when you're running all these trick plays, it can get a little conspicuous. Running in between each other, you have to make sure that you're not running any kind of like blocking line, or anything. And when you're running switches, that can be a little difficult.
Yeah, but as seen before, even when Cobras got that chance to kick the ball out, Doylestown they came up fast. They came up together, which is a big part of rugby. Because even if you have those fast players, if you don't come up together, those gaps can just be exploited.
Yeah, so this is something we saw a little bit of yesterday, but these smaller lineouts, they're only putting, 5 or 6 players in as opposed to their whole forward lineup.
Yeah,
And there are definitely pros and cons to that. They're going to opt for the quick line out
Yeah.
right here. That is something they attempted yesterday, but the ref called it off.
Yeah.
So now they have the speed and momentum. Raleigh was not prepared for that quick line
Yeah,
out.
just kudos to number 2, Noelle Robinson. She took a player that was probably twice her size out of bounds to get that quick line out. Looks like there's an advantage arms to
Yeah,
Doylestown.
advantage off of a high tackle. Ref's going to continue play. They do have momentum going. He's going to call another advantage high tackle. Raleigh needs to get these tackles lower. They're just going to keep trucking towards that try zone.
Yeah, I think it's going to go back to the high tackle advantage, but
Yeah, ref's going to say no quick tap. He's going to take a second to talk to the Raleigh player and say, get your tackles lower and bring the ball back to the last high tackle before this. Down far side of the field, just outside the 22.
yeah, it's important to take that second to let the Cobras know that they gotta keep it down if they want to keep everyone on the field safe, because that's the ref's number 1 goal.
Advantage high tackle is kind of a touchy subject, depending on referees and coaches. Some coaches do not like when referees play advantage high tackle because then there's really no kind of um, statement to the players to say, stop high tackling, this is dangerous. Of course, you want to keep the momentum going. I mean, Doylestown had momentum there, so if you play advantage, you allow them to keep building on that instead of forcing them to start over. But after, multiple in a row, you do have to take that time to say, get your tackles lower before giving a card. This ref is going to give warnings, obviously. That line out
Was not straight.
Yeah, not straight. So we're going to have a scrum to Raleigh down in the corner.
Yeah.
And this is where that kicking game is going to come into play. And the wind is blowing today. Not too
Yeah.
hard, but hard enough where whoever is kicking this ball is going to have to make some kind of adjustment, depending on where she's aiming in the field. Obviously, we have a lot of green space. On this back, this is to my right, this back right side, right behind Sydney Haddon, actually, who is usually pretty tight, getting the ball out on the edges. So I would aim for back around here
Yeah.
in the field, not into touch if I were Raleigh.
Yeah, definitely got a bit of the breeze is going that way too. So let's see if that kick does happen, and it's going right to Sydney. She feels it very well. Turns
Yeah.
her shoulders just in case.
Sydney Haddon's a talented player, very valuable on the wing for Doylestown, and she works really well with their other wings and back triangle players.
Yeah. Looks like ball was knocked free a bit, but that was good work by Doylestown, making sure to keep their ball away from the touch line.
Noelle Robinson just slipping through those tackles.
Yeah. Looks like whistles blown.
Ref's going to call offsides. You can hear the Raleigh coach on the sideline here telling the players you have to be on sides. They're going to opt for a penalty kick in this moment. No surprise there. They have been working towards that try zone, but unable to put any points on the board yet. And in this type of game, even though the stakes are not super high, those bragging rights are for a lot of these players.
Yeah.
And so when you can get those points, you want to get those points. I mean, Nola Flynn is a very capable kicker.
Extremely
She's
capable.
very talented, still a young player, just a junior. And so when you're in this position, especially with Raleigh's defensive pressure, get those points.
Yeah, this seems like one of her typical kicks. And it looks good.
Yeah, so first points of the board are going to go in favor of Doylestown. So they're going to get 3 on to open up the scoreboard for the game.
Yeah, that's great. You always want to have those first points on because you never know what could happen, ending in a tie, ending You just want to have those first points.
Absolutely. And those 3 points can make a huge difference because if you score a try after this, kick or no kick, you have a 1 point advantage to any one score made by the other team.
Yes, that
And
is
that 1 point can mean everything.
that is huge. It's always good to think ahead, and that's another thing that we were discussing before throughout the recruitable game is how so many of these players have such a high rugby IQ with just the way that their coaches play their team and just the exposure they have to rugby.
Absolutely. Short kick, but Doylestown was prepared for it. She
Looks
looked for a little bit of an offload, but her hands were caught up. Ball's out to Sydney Haddon. They're asking her to pop it back inside.
great hands by Bridget McGonigal. McGonigal?
McGonigal.
So sorry for that pronunciation.
Yeah. So that was not releasing. Yeah, Raleigh tried to go for that poach. I believe that was Ortego. She had a day yesterday. She's a senior. She'll be playing at Ohio State next year, I believe. Uh, but very talented player.
Yeah, it's great when you have your kicker who's very confident in your speed where kicks it nice and short and your team can just come up and run on the ball, and that's what both the teams are actually showcasing today is their speed. They really want the other team to realize that they're going to come down at you on the field. Looks like we're just waiting for a ball.
So Raleigh's got a line out right here. This is great field positioning for them. They're on their half of the field. They bat it down towards the 9, but that Doylestown defense is relentless on them.
Yeah, and that line out, it was a fight in the air. Arms were pushing. That's great to see. Good strong base, able to move around up top.
Yeah, and Raleigh is very steep, very wide right now, which we love to see. They have a great opportunity out on the edges right there. I mean, with
Very fast
Tanner
ball
Avery
movement.
right there. Yeah, I was just about to say, with Tanner Avery on second inside from the edge, she's a great looper. So she gets that ball, she could send it out, and then she loops, and she has that power on the edge if they want it.
Yeah, but Doylestown, they're not letting up. They see the fast ball and they're gonna match it with speed. They got strong counter rucks.
Doylestown does a very good job at reading the offense.
Yes.
They're looking and they want to know if you're to pick and go or send it out to your backs, and they have a pretty good chance of being able to call it before it even happens. They completely stifled a pick right there. We do have a player down for Doylestown getting attended to by the medic right now. I think she may have a little bit of a cut on her face. Look like they're just wiping off a little bit of blood. So hopefully she's okay, but it gives these players a chance to take a breath. This has been a very competitive, fast game so far.
It definitely has. And I mean it's what's to be expected with two teams like this. They constantly have different like skills up their sleeves. They both have strong hitters and fast runners. They got kickers. It's great when you have such a variety of different players on your team.
Absolutely. So they're going to take a little breath while that player gets attended to, talk about any improvements they can be making. Obviously, Raleigh wants to get their first points on the board early enough in this game, and they do have a pretty good chance. I mean, they have been relentless at making their way down this field, and it is very hard to do that against this Doylestown defense that is so adamant about their line coming up strong on defense every time, pushing you back. It is hard to gain those yards, but Raleigh needs to find a break here or there. And even though Doylestown has such strong edges, I think that Raleigh needs to use their width a little bit more. Their back line was so wide just a few minutes ago, but they chose to stick it in the center with the forwards instead. And I think they could have created some kind of overload on the edge if they wanted to.
Yeah, definitely. I think if I was the Cobras, I would be telling my team how maybe hold on to the ball even for a split second longer to get those Doylestown players to bite and exploit those gaps on the outside. But either way, they got the speed even just to run around them.
So we're going to resume play with a scrum. It's right towards the center of the field, a little bit off to the left-hand side. So it's going to be a scrum to Raleigh. They're about halfway through their offensive zone. They're setting up their primary back line on this left side. But Doylestown D is matched up.
Yeah, they're talking, they're making sure everyone's spread out. It's great to see the communication within the teams. Strong push by
Big
Doylestown.
push. They're going to go for an 8-man pick, but that flanker's right there to catch him. There's Avery. 12 with the run. Ball out to 14.
Great job just keeping that ball alive, too.
Yeah, looks like Avery knocked it on in contact, but that was exactly what Raleigh should have done in that moment. They gained quite a few yards from utilizing that back line right there, and even though it did not end well for them with that little mistake, that kind of momentum is stuff they need to keep bringing into this match.
Yeah, it was great to see just them keeping that ball alive because they know that if they get into those rucks, Doylestown's gonna have some hard pushes and they're gonna have to get the ball out fast. So just keeping the ball up and moving it's great work.
Yeah, so right now Doylestown has a scrum, but they're back in their red zone. So they're most likely going to opt for a kick, which is why Avery is having that strong side wing drop back, awaiting that kick to take away some of that green space.
Oh, looks like
Yeah, it's going to call advantage knock on. Doylestown tried to play it out, knocked it on. Raleigh recovered. Ref's going to call advantage, which I think is the right call to keep that momentum going. Looks like they couldn't get very far, so ref's going to call it back to the original knock to try to give Raleigh another chance. So we're going to have a scrum, and I think that's the right call by the ref because you're going to call advantage, but that Doylestown defense was just relentless, and the ball did become loose again. So just call it back to the original knock. Their backs are going to be set up on the far side right now. And again, they have their fullback Avery inserting just second to the end right there. And I think that's just a powerful matchup right on that wing.
and that's great heads up by Doylestown. They know that they have the other team has the advantage, but stopping it so that they don't get to run all over and just take it back to where it was and slow down the play to fix their mistakes is great.
So a stronger scrum by Raleigh right there. They weren't pushed back as much by Doylestown that time. But as the ball was making it through the back line, looks like it was knocked on and in contact. So they're going to have another scrum about 10 meters behind where that first one was, and this one now in the possession of Doylestown.
Yeah,
Doylestown is not too far back. They can definitely play this out. They don't need to kick.
yeah. I think they have a really strong running game, so it's gonna be interesting to see what they're gonna plan to do
If
with
they plan
this.
to run some kind of trick, they need to watch out for the obstruction. That ref is going to keep his eye on that.
Definitely, I think that is something that they have to work on, but otherwise, they are coming up very fast, which is good.
Strong scrum right there by both teams.
Taken by
Slicing run. Is that Kayla Robinson?
it might be number.
Oh, what an offload.
We'll
Great
get a
catch by
number.
Charlie Wolf.
We can get a number on that player.
Either way, that dish to Charlie Wolf was just so perfectly timed.
And that player who just was splicing through others was Sienna Accardi. She's a great player, very fast. She's playing the 10 spot right now, and you can just tell that she's very on point and she's paying attention to the game, looking for those gaps.
We're going to have a Raleigh line out. Ref is making sure that the lines are spaced correctly. Doylestown almost got a hand on that one.
It is not straight, so it is going to go to Doylestown.
And you can see them shifting immediately back to an offensive format. They're going to opt for a scrum, I believe, as we move towards the center of the field. And this was a smart choice by Doylestown opting for the scrum instead of the lineout because the
Yeah.
lineouts have been very tightly contested and no scrums have been stolen so far this game.
Yeah, they have also been pushing hard, even though the Cobras have been able to get the ball out fast. Doylestown is pushing against their scrum, and especially with the wind, it's definitely good to keep the ball in a safe area.
Yeah, so I think they have an opportunity for a weak side 8-man pick right here if they wanted to.
Looks like they're just gonna opt to take the ball out fast. Good split
Yeah, that's
movement.
Jocelyn Terry right there.
Great player. There goes Bridget. She's just running through people. Great job by her. She always takes the ball at pace and doesn't go down without a fight.
Ball's made it to the far side wing. That's Beckenauer right there with the support. She chooses to pick and go off the ruck instead of setting up a seal. Doylestown is doing a very good job of using the entirety of the field. That's Marks driving it in.
She goes right into the middle, making it easy for her kicker to make it. That was great. You know, they used a great job of using their forwards just to push it in, but also having the backs in between to move the ball out fast and connect the pods, which was great. They had fast pods forming when they get the ball. It was a great work by Marks too.
Yeah, the system was perfect. Send it out wide to the backs. That forced Raleigh to shift to try to have extra coverage on that wing just in case. That's when you have that quick work by Nola Flynn. Just send it right inside, right between the posts to such a strong runner in Marks, who you know is going to drive it, if not over the try line, right up onto it in such a good position. And that's just a classic textbook system. Draw the defenders out wide on your wings and then send it back inside for a crash. It's either that or the opposite. And Raleigh just got caught in their back foot right there, and there was nothing they could do to stop.
Yeah, definitely. Kick is good by Nola. You know, definitely great kicker. You know, takes those easy, nice kicks. That leads us to 10-0. Raleigh really needs to get their points on the board. It'd be great to get some points on before halftime, but
Yeah, I think we only have a few minutes until halftime, probably only around 3 or 4. So if they're going to go into the second half down by less than 10, they need to put some points on the board now, whether that's 3 from a kick, 5 or 7 from a try. They need to make it happen. There's not going to be a fun halftime speech from coach if you're down 10-0 going into the second
yeah,
half.
and that was a pretty good idea, trying to make it short so that they could run onto the ball. But
Yeah, and she kicked right into space. There were no Doylestown players covering that one green area.
yeah, again, that great IQ and stuff too. But they went in for that poach. But I think it might have been Marks or someone with the counter ruck, just pushing against. Doylestown is great with that ruck, just making sure no one can get their hands on that ball.
Yeah, that was Marks with the big carry right there. And Doylestown, within probably 30 seconds to a minute, has made their way right back over the 50 following that kickoff. Just a sliding run. She's shifting between players throughout that half of the field. Now's when they're going to use those wings. They got it out to 14. That's Mabel Cashman. She's still in middle school.
See, and
Now it's out to Haddon.
this is the speed we were talking about. Doylestown just moving it fast, putting your fast players on that run to get you up the field and being able to move the ball out fast before the Cobras can set up.
The best part about having all those fast
Marks
players is that
again,
they can keep up
and
with
she's
each
gonna
other.
score
Yep.
back-to-back tries. What a strong runner. She knows the game. She knows that if she does not take that ball on that pace, it is not going anywhere. So she takes it on and gets her full speed, just driving through, extending those arms and placing it down.
And she had support with her if she wanted to pop it or if she happened to go down before the try zone to ruck or pick to go for the next try. These Doylestown teams and players have the fluidity to play off of each other so well because they all have such a similar level for their skill set. While they all have different skills, they can compete with each other on the field and keep up with each other on these breakaways and on these runs and support each other, because it's tough if you have just a few fast players. As you know, strategy wise, you want to spread them out so that you have the advantage all over the field, but then if one of those players gets a breakaway, there's no one around them who can keep up with them to support that run.
Yeah, I mean, it is great when you have some teams that work so well together. It's that great continuity of just always practicing well together, practicing like it's a game. And the kick was good again by Nola. You know, just such a great player, always knowing and always having just a great heads up play. So that puts Doylestown ahead by a lot. And the Cobras, they're playing well, but they got to get their attack down and get some points on the board, even if it's after halftime, if they're gonna have a chance.
We should be coming up to the final minute of play of the first half. Score is now Doylestown 17, Raleigh 0. I can say wholeheartedly not quite what I was expecting from the first half. We do still have the rest of the half and the whole second half to play, and one thing I am not going to do is underestimate this Raleigh team. There's McGonigal with a great run. I have no doubt that they can come back in the second half. If Doylestown can score this much in the first, there's nothing stopping Raleigh from scoring that much in the second.
Yeah, and Raleigh, they're not giving up. Their players are getting their hands in those rucks. They're on that ball. They want it, and I think it's going to be a
Yeah.
knock on there, but they
Yeah,
were still
Terry's
on
going
that
to touch
ball.
it down in the try zone to end play because she saw those Doylestown players coming fast. So that's going to end the first half. Wind is definitely picking up here, folks, which is going to affect that second half play. Yeah, so we'll be right back for the second half. Don't go anywhere.
Today's ad-free broadcast is brought to you by EPL Sports Tours. EPL Sports Tours are proud to offer truly unforgettable rugby experiences to many worldwide destinations. Contact EPL now to organize your team's tour. Info at eplsports.com. The broadcast is also brought to you by Rugby New Jersey, New Jersey's state rugby organization, Steamroller Rugby Supply, Clinton Bagel Company, Interstate Waste Management, the Morris Rugby Family, and Ultima Replenisher.
All right, folks, that little break, and we're back. Halftime is still going on right now. So, DJ, if you were the Doylestown coach right now, what are you telling your team?
I mean, I would be telling my team how we are in a great spot right now, and how the thing that just we really need to be doing is making sure that we are sealing those rucks, because the Cobras, they are not knocking down from their fight. They're gonna keep going, and their main goal is they're getting their hands in there, and they really want that ball. So I think Doylestown just needs to protect their players and be in support. And I think they're gonna have a really easy time controlling the ball if they keep doing that. What do you think the Cobras coach is going to be telling their players right now?
I think the Cobras coach is going to tell his players that they need to set their own pace to the game. I think that when they came out pretty hot, they know Doylestown's the fast team. They know that they're a fast team. I'm not sure if they can keep up with Doylestown at the speed that they want to play. And it's hard to watch because you know how good of an offense Raleigh has. But they haven't really had an opportunity to exploit that. And I think it's because they're playing a little bit above where they're comfortable playing. So I think if I were the coach, I'm telling them to not slow down the game, but set your own pace when you have the ball. And you have to really utilize the moments that you have the ball to set your own pace of the game, because that is going to affect how Doylestown gets themselves going when they get back on offense as well. You know, it's easy to say small things like, you know, we have to be running in support. We have to have somebody covering the backfield for kicking and stuff like that. Or we have to have more people chasing our kicks. But I think overall it comes down to reminding Raleigh that they can compete with this team. They just need to play like themselves and not try to play like Doylestown.
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely you can definitely see that the Cobras, they're trying to catch up, which a lot of teams are having that problem when they play Doylestown this year because of their speed, and it's a great thing to have. But if you want a chance at playing at the level with this team, you're gonna need to be pushing against and rushing that speed, and even just keeping it at your own pace so that you're not just always a step behind.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna make a little analogy here. I don't know if you're a basketball fan.
Oh, I'm a basketball fan. I play basketball in my off season.
Pacers Knicks series. Knicks
Oh,
had a hard time keeping up with the Pacers' fast-paced game,
yes.
and so the Knicks had to adjust their game because they can't play the fast offense that the
Yeah.
Pacers have. So that is something that I am seeing right now, where we know that Raleigh is a talented team. I have full confidence that they will get at least one try on the board this second half if they make that adjustment, or whatever adjustments their coach is telling them right now, or their captains want them to make while they're on the field. Listening to their strong leadership, they have that upperclassman class that knows what they're doing. And so we should be coming to the end of halftime any second now. Shorter half times because there are shorter games in this tournament style format, 20-minute halves for 15s, which is hard because if you are a slow team to get that momentum going, by the time you get that going, the game's already over.
Yeah. So it's definitely going to be where Raleigh needs to come out and set their pace quick. And it'd be great if in the first couple minutes they could get down the field and score a point, because if they want to like compete in this game, they're gonna need to get their points up. They have a great defense, and the only way that Doylestown is getting in is when they are just slamming in, which it's very hard to defend a player who's just slamming into your try zone. So what they really need to counter that with is slamming into Doylestown's try zone.
Yeah, ref is making his way back to the center of the field to signal to the teams that they should come back out. Raleigh's going to do their final cheers. All right, they got to bring their energy up a little bit more, Raleigh. Hustle back out to this side of the field. You got 20 minutes left to play. This is your final game of the season, and you have a deficit to catch up that you totally can catch up with. So we got to keep that energy up. Raleigh is going to kick to Doylestown to start. Again, Raleigh in white, Doylestown in yellow and green.
Yeah, if I'm Raleigh right now, I'm really making sure that my wings know that they need to be coming up with my line, because if not, then those Doylestown wings and centers will run up those sidelines.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for them to try to set a pace when they're starting with kicking the ball.
The kick was not 10, which is definitely hard because the Cobras are definitely kicking somewhat into the wind. So it looks like it's going to be
Yeah,
either...
Doylestown opted for a scrum.
Yep.
The Raleigh kicker asked the ref why he blew it dead, since Doylestown did decide to play the ball. But he said since it bounced first within the 10-meter, he's going to blow it dead. So Doylestown does get the opportunity here to run a play off of this scrum. We know Doylestown likes their set pieces.
Yeah.
And so the Raleigh backline needs to be very cognizant right now.
Yeah, and they're paying attention. They're ready for that ball.
They're all in that player coming up stance, ready to go.
You know, something I just saw there, that the Cobras, they gave a good push to Doylestown right there.
Yeah, their scrums have just been getting better throughout the
Yes.
game.
They're feeling more comfortable. Their feet are getting warm, and they're realizing the need for a push against such a strong team like Doylestown.
Absolutely, and that far side wing for Raleigh, not sure the name or the number, but she just put in a lot of work to cut them off behind where the scrum was to get that play dead, push the ball out of bounds. That defense came up strong outside of that scrum, and that is what you like to see at the beginning of this half.
Quick ball off the top for the Cobras.
Yeah,
Did see some quick coming up from Doylestown.
That's Bryn Steven who caught that to put up that first run.
Definitely seems like the Cobras are playing a bit more of their speed, not trying to just shove the ball out. Ooh, nice hard tackle by, think that might be number 13, Jocelyn Terry. Really strong tackle. She came up with a purpose, something to prove in that tackle.
Yeah, talented player. This Raleigh player clutching something. Ref saying she's got to get checked out. Yeah, and that was that Raleigh runner, Sloan Garland, is just a freshman. Even though she got tackled by Terry, she was gaining a lot of speed on that. So Doylestown is probably happy that they caught her where she did. Also because Tanner Avery, who had just gotten tackled right before, was getting up out of that breakdown and was going to be there in support for Sloan.
Yeah, it definitely seems like they're trying to figure out if everyone's okay.
Yeah, that player who was clutching her shoulder area is not anymore, so she should be fine. And Raleigh has a scrum here right inside their offensive side of the 50.
Good put in right out the back. Very stable scrum.
Yeah, that's Brooke Brantley, the scrum half for Raleigh.
Oh, ball was knocked back, luckily. That was another great scrum that Raleigh is just improving so much.
Offload by Avery, right? It was in the tackle.
Great job. Oh, Doylestown is not giving up. They are pushing in.
No, Raleigh has just barely regained the ground they had during that scrum.
Multiple Doylestown hard tackles.
That's Elia Matthews with that carry right there.
Doylestown is just catching those players. They do not want them to run all over them. gets back up, but I
Yeah,
think
ref's going to call playing it on the ground because she had her knee down.
yeah, I also think if she released the ball, she would have had no problem.
I believe they were still in advantage after a penalty, so I think it's still going to be Raleigh ball, but that's
offsides.
unfortunate that they had to cut off momentum right there as they were dishing it out wide with speed on the edges.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to go back for an offsides call. Good communication out there by the Cobras. There's
Matthews just got flattened, but ref's going to call advantage, and it's going to be a high tackle against Marks.
Yeah,
Marks is going to get a card.
She's going to be off the field.
That's a big loss for Doylestown right there, but this is a great opportunity for Raleigh.
Yeah, as long as everyone gets up okay, then they're going to have a real good chance, especially because Marks has been their scorer today.
Yeah, so Raleigh 14, Jared Doyle's going to kick to touch, try to give her girls just a little bit more advantage. Their offense is very steep, which normally would be a good thing. However, that Doylestown line is so fast on the defense, and they run sort of a hinge defense where they're not coming up straight, but they're coming up at a forward diagonal.
Yes.
So they cut off that passing line. That's something you see at the college level of play, folks. So as you can see, they're kind of inching up right here. They're not as steep as they normally would be, and I think that's the move.
That was definitely a knock in the line out, but it was a great ball by, I could not see who was jumping, was able to completely reach across and bring it and stabilize it, just got a little knock forward. But that is great when you have such a stable base that you're able to reach around for that ball up there.
And lots of core strength by the jumper as well.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
So since the knock was wide Doylestown, we're going to have a Raleigh scrum right here. So they're going to remain in the same area that the lineout was in, but they just get to move a little bit in towards the middle of the field, which is another advantage because now they have a little bit more options because they have two edges to use instead of one.
Yes, and they do have that that yellow card still, and Marks is a big part of their scrum too, so it's gonna be a little bit different to see what Doylestown's scrum looks like.
Absolutely, and one of their backs is going to have to be in the scrum right now, or they're scrumming with 7 and have no 8 to be that second line of defense. So either way, Raleigh has a great option right now.
I do not think they have an 8-man, which might be the better choice just so that they don't lose any backs to.
I agree, only because you don't really need to be watching 8-man to cover that weak side because you have Sydney Haddon over there.
Oh.
Great cherry pick attempt.
Yeah, that was number 14 on Doylestown, who is Mabel Cashman. She is a middle schooler, and that was great heads up play. She had her eye on that ball and she really wanted it.
It was a good idea. Unfortunately, ref's going to call the knock, but she saw and read that Raleigh offense so well.
Yeah, and that could have been very dangerous for the Cobras because she was open. She found that gap.
Also because since she found that gap and Avery is inserted into the back line, there is no coverage in the backfield for Raleigh right now.
Yeah. But the Cobras were doing a great job right before that, moving the ball fast. They had a switch or two, definitely just to confuse the back line of Doylestown.
They have been doing a good job pushing Doylestown down the field. I mean, they're halfway between their offensive 50 and the tri-zone. They have been gaining momentum little by little and making those small adjustments that I'm sure their coach asked them to make.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be crucial that they get some points on the board right here.
There's 13 with a slicing run.
And she's going to put it down.
Still 13?
Yes.
That's Louisa Hines.
That was great. She went right between and she chopped those arms right off her. That's great. I was just about to say that the Cobras really needed to get some points on this board if they wanted to stay in this game.
No, and that's when they needed it the most. They put so much effort into that try for these last, I would say, 5 minutes. They have been working towards that one singular goal of scoring that first try. They have been pushing down the field. And obviously they had the advantage, one man up because of that yellow card. And so the time was needed. If you're going to strike it all, it is now when you know you have an automatic overload anywhere on the field at any given time.
Yeah.
So that was just timely. And
the kick is good. It was very good kick, especially with the wind.
Yeah, good strike. That was Lillian DeSoto.
Great kicker. Definitely got to raise some morals for the Cobras over here, having that score in because they worked hard for that. They deserved that. It was a great job to the Cobras.
Absolutely, and that yellow card will be coming back on soon. We assume it's only about at 5 minutes since we're at 20-minute halves. So marks for Doylestown is going to come back on any minute. Now Raleigh will get possession again off of this kickoff, and I think they should be pushing towards scoring again before marks can come back on.
Yeah, because that's going to be crucial. Doesn't entirely look 10. It bounces.
Yeah, Raleigh's going to opt not to play it, which is, I think, a smart decision because they have the advantage in the scrums as well with mark out.
Yeah, that was great though. Doylestown was trying to make sure that their teammates could get the ball just a little bit short.
There it is. The yellow's back on. They opted for the scrum, but I think if they knew that that meant Mackenzie Marks was coming back on, I think they should have opted for the re-kick.
Yeah, she's definitely a player to watch for. When she's out of the game, there's a lot to do, but when she's in, there's definitely a lot more limitations for the other team.
Regardless, Raleigh is going to maintain possession for their scrum.
As long as they can get a strong push, then I think the Cobras are going to come knocking down on the door.
Yeah, I mean, they have...
Yep, they have a strong scrum again. They are getting better and better with their scrums today. They are adapting to the type of push.
They just look solid.
And that's number 14, breaking tackles. Oh,
that's Jared Doyle. Yep.
Strong tackle by number 13, Terry again. Doylestown is not giving up. They do not want the Cobras to score again.
There's Matthews.
She's trucking along. The Cobras want to be there even a split second faster because Doylestown is right there on those poaches. Good fast
There's Louisa Hines. Yep. 19's going to try to be switching things around. That's Bryn Steven.
They're number 9, moving that ball out fast, knowing that the longer it stays in there. Mark's trying to get in for that poach. Not clean, though. They want to look up a bit more, though, because there was a complete overload on the left side there.
They have just now made it back over the 50 where that original scrum was. While it is taking them a while, they do have that offensive motion. Big counter ruck by Doylestown, but Raleigh has numbers in there.
They want to make sure they have support, especially with these fast poaches.
That was Haley Falcone with the run.
Diving over, her hands were on the ground, so they are going to give a penalty. This gives an opportunity for Doylestown to get some more moving. They're gonna have a
Doylestown's gonna opt for the scrum.
Good choice. It's their strong suit today. They're working very well.
Yeah, the scrums have been very well matched. So while you do have a confidence in your own scrum and you know that the other scrum is strong, we've had no stolen scrums during this matchup.
Yeah, and definitely you can see they're adapting to the style of play so that they don't have to tire themselves out by pushing too much. They just know where they can hold, and you can see both teams doing that.
Lots of communication in the Raleigh backline right now to try to read that Doylestown offense. Doylestown has so many options, and that scrum was stolen by Raleigh. Wow. First stolen scrum of the game, and that caused an overload on the edge.
Look at that by number 10.
Lillian DeSoto.
That was a great job by the scrum work in the pack of the Cobras, especially because of Doylestown's such like well-formed scrum.
Oh, and just as they were getting their offensive moving, ref calls not releasing, back penalty, and Nola Flynn is going to kick the touch and kick to our tent.
We're going to have a line out right in front of us.
I think she was aiming for us, DJ.
I think so too.
All right, we're going to have a Doylestown line out.
Oh, it looks like it's going to be...
Ref's going to call a penalty. I didn't see the hand movements. I could hear that he was talking to the players, but I couldn't hear what he called.
Yeah, it's gonna be a scrum. I'm not entirely sure what that was in what I thought. I thought it was a knock on by Doylestown, but
I didn't see anything wrong with the play. I mean, 9 was... Production O'Brien says playing in the air. I thought it was great heads-up play by 9 at the back of that lineout on Raleigh.
yeah, just picked it up after it was tipped.
But regardless, we're going to have a Doylestown scrum right about the 50.
Cobra's really got to get a good push here if they want.
Cobra's just stole that last scrum.
It's not going to happen this time, but they do got some push into that. Going from 9 to 10 to their back line. Gonna try and go. Oh,
yeah, that's out to Haddon right there.
Cobras are coming up fast.
Yeah, ref's going to call advantage on a high tackle on the Cobras, though. There's McGonigal.
Cobras are going to want to get low because they were having another issue with that earlier.
Flynn opts to go to the weak side again.
They're going to go back to the high tackle advantage.
Yeah, Doylestown wasn't really getting anything going during that advantage play. Ref decided to call it back.
Yeah, it definitely a good choice. Slow everything down.
Flynn taking her time, letting her offense know what she wants by them. Fakes it to Marks, gives it to McGonigal.
Oh.
McGonigal tries to pass it wide, bobbled off the chest though. Unfortunate. That was clearly a drawn out play.
That was
by
a
Doylestown.
very good play. You know, it's definitely something that can cause lots of chaos, especially because when you see like a player like Marks and you think she might have the ball, the Cobras are going to want to run up and stop her, not knowing that it actually went the other way, and that leaves a gap for Doylestown to run through. So it's a well-crafted play, just the execution just wasn't there.
Yeah, and so now Raleigh will get a scrum in their favor. These scrums just look stronger and stronger every time they happen. So looks like they have a majority of their backs set up on this strong left side.
Yeah, they're definitely going to want to come. Oh, and the cherry pick this time by number 14.
That's Mabel Cashman again.
Yeah, last time it wasn't there, but this time.
She tried it again, even though the last one didn't work out, and this time it was good for her. Marks takes it with pace. Support is slow to get there. Looks like the poach by Raleigh is on. That's number 14.
And they were looking for that.
That's Jared Doyle.
Oh.
Possession has gone back and forth. Raleigh needs to clean up their play a little bit. Looking a little sloppy. The last thing they want to do is give Doylestown another opportunity to score.
Yeah, strong runner here. Can't see the number. We'll get a number in a moment. She's just pushing those Doylestown tackles away. She was able to stay up for a really long time.
That was, I think, Ortego. Dropping her shoulder into that contact.
Oh, they got to be faster to those rucks if they want to protect that ball.
Oh, she drops it with contact. Ref's going to pull it back to the original. I think we were still playing advantage, so I think Raleigh gets to keep that, even though they just knocked the ball on.
Yeah, you know, it's really great for Raleigh if they want to come down and score, because it's the clock is ticking. They're really going to want to get some points on the board here, being at halfway, and they're not going to want Doylestown to regain possession. So
yeah, right now Raleigh's down by 10. Score is 17-7 in favor of Doylestown, but Doylestown is scoreless so far this half.
Oh, they're going to want to get on that.
A lot. Raleigh jumps on it. Their scrum half is at the bottom of that pile, so somebody's got to pick. Yep. There it is. I think that was number 1.
Oh, she let go of the ball and got right back up. Great job by number 1 on the Cobras.
That's Marissa Langdon, freshman.
She's a freshman. That is some great heads-up play. Some great rugby IQ, too. Just knowing that when you don't have support, the best thing to do is to get up.
Ball's out to Ortego.
Strong player there.
Ref's going to blow something dead. He wants to talk to the players. He wants to talk to Doylestown.
He says that he blew it dead for safety reasons as a player wasn't rolling away, I think.
Yeah, it was definitely something on Doylestown. I believe Doylestown 22. Yeah, Noelle Santiago. I recognize that she wears a scrum cap. So Raleigh gets a chance to reset their offense right here. They've had strong set plays. They've had strong back ball movement off the set plays. Ball movement is there. Leg movement needs to be picked up. These girls have speed. They need to use it.
Yeah, if I was the Cobras, I'd be looking for almost an 8-man to the weak, but we're going to go strong side with the backs, which is not a bad move as they have fast-moving backs.
Yeah, that was 14 Jared Doyle dishing it out. There's Tanner Avery right there.
They're going to want to watch the sideline.
They got to start playing back towards the middle of the field. You can't keep going weak side. Tried to go weak side again, but the arm is up. Doylestown has just been penalty ridden this half.
They're going to want to move that ball out fast. Crashing is great.
Ortego is running alone.
Someone's got to be there because Marks is right there ready for that poach.
Ref's going to blow it dead again.
Oh, see some.
Things might be getting a little feisty in the breakdown right now. I know these are two competitive teams, but you have to keep things clean.
Yeah, seems like or there might be a card against, yellow card against Ortega.
It's a big loss.
Yeah, she's a great player, very strong with her legs.
And she has a very similar play style to Mark, so this is almost like the same deficit Doylestown had earlier.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure why. It might have been just the feistiness getting a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, the ref had to blow multiple whistles to call that ruck dead, and Ortega was the last one to get up, so she might not have been releasing player or ball or whatever and listening to the ref when that whistle blew. But Flynn's going to opt for a kick to touch, far side of the field. They have to break out of their defensive side. Raleigh has held Doylestown scoreless in this half so far, and it's definitely been at least 10 minutes. We're definitely at least halfway into this half.
Yeah, the Cobras are definitely going to want to work fast, but they have a really big loss without Ortega on the field, and Doylestown is going to win. They're kicking it out.
Flynn kicks it again, and to end the game. Yeah,
Oh.
we knew. I thought we still had a little bit of time left.
Yeah, I did too, but it looks like that is game. So that is going to be Doylestown 17, Raleigh 7. Doylestown will take the win again.
I don't think that scoreline reflects how well Raleigh held themselves together during that second half, though.
Yes.
Raleigh outscored Doylestown in that second half, technically, as they scored a try, and they held Doylestown scoreless, which I think they might be the first team to do that this season, hold Doylestown scoreless in a half.
Yeah, it was very impressive. Doylestown has had humongous leads against other teams, so having a close game like this really shows that the Cobras put in the work in this game, and they should not be discounted for.
Absolutely. Well, DJ, thank you so much for joining us on the mic this afternoon. Great job playing this weekend.
Thank
Any
you so
final
much.
words before we sign off?
Go play some rugby, guys. It's the best sport ever, and you guys got free time. It's summer. Find a team. Play some rugby.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in and watching all the games this weekend. Stay tuned for more updates and stuff from the EGRL. This is Marissa Kogan and DJ Corden signing off for the last time.
Today's ad-free broadcast is brought to you by EPL Sports Tours. EPL Sports Tours are proud to offer truly unforgettable rugby experiences to many worldwide destinations. Contact EPL now to organize your team's tour. info@eplsports.com. The broadcast is also brought to you by Rugby New Jersey, New Jersey's state rugby organization, Steamroller Rugby Supply, Clinton Bagel Company, Interstate Waste Management, the Morris Rugby Family, and Ultima Replenisher.